You're listening to Jonesy and Brown.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Your boys are back. It's been a long break, man. Summer's just about over. It's time for us to get back to work. Welcome to the season premiere of the Jonesy and Brown Show. That is Mike Jones. I am John Brown, here to talk Philly sports because that's what we do. That's who we are. Mike Jones, what's going on, my friend? Oh man, you gonna start the season? We're not talking about necessarily the new Eagles season, or we're gonna get into that.
We'll get to the Eagles.
The season of Jonesy and Brown.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to start the season with a heavy sigh.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
What do we do on this show, JB?
We tell the truth.
No, but
tell
like,
the truth and
more general than that. Like the most basic terms. If somebody asked you, what's this show about? What would you say?
Show's about arguing.
No, like the basic topic. What's your show about? What do we talk about?
Our show is about sports.
Okay. We talk sports.
We do talk sports.
And do you know what my favorite sport is, JB?
Your favorite sport is the round ball. You are a basketball fan. You are a hoops man.
Mm-hmm.
That is the sport that you love. That is the sport that you played at a high level.
So here's my question.
Sport that you've coached.
So if we're here to talk Philly sports.
Yes.
And my favorite sport is basketball.
That's where I can't believe that's where you want to start right now.
Why do you think you're getting that deep sigh from me?
Because of the current state of our Philadelphia 76ers.
There you go. That's why I'm starting with a deep sigh.
Yeah.
We're back for another season, and guess what? Here we go again.
Oh, boy. Look.
A flawed point guard who's a head case wants out. Now, you remember when this dude was in Houston?
Yes.
He was a regular member of my
point guards you can't
win with list.
Yes. He was a card-carrying member.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't because of his talent.
No, it's because of his skill level and his mindset.
Correct.
You said you couldn't win with him, and I did not disagree with you. You have made that case. If you are unfamiliar with why James Harden was on the list, on Mike Jones's list of point guards you can't win with, check our archives. BITWsports.com, wherever you get your podcast from, check our archives. He's going on record and explained it. Yes, plenty of times before. James Harden now wants out.
And the thing is, when he came here, against my own better judgment, I tried to maintain hope that Glenn Rivers could get through to James Harden. And somehow James Harden would use his superior skill set to play proper basketball.
Yes.
He did it in stretches.
Yes.
Now that Doc Rivers is gone, he said publicly that it was a fight with Harden to try to get him to move the ball and play winning basketball. Mm-hmm. It was apparently the beginning of the rift between the two was a game where Harden went 4 for 19 while Embiid had 39 points in that game. It was rolling. And after the game, privately in a film session, Doc tells Harden you might want to think about passing a little more when you're 4 for 19 and Embiid is rolling.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the rift between these two guys. Your coach coaching you you're a professional athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And you take offense to being coached by your head coach, who's a former professional at the same position you're playing.
You have made how you feel about James Harden very clear. I feel as if, and the acquisition of James Harden seemed to have seen at the time, and to an extent remains the best option that was presented from the last point guard that we had this problem with. So,
correct.
So this might have been this might have been the first time in a long series of questionable moves that this franchise has made as it has tried to rebuild itself with this incarnation. Whereas, where if we were talking about who we passed up to draft the last point guard we got rid of, who we passed up in the subsequent draft after we drafted the last point guard we had to get rid of. Some questionable moves along the way. Who we kept, who we allowed to leave.
There's a lot of questionable moves.
Along
the course of the process.
Yes, a lot of questionable moves.
Who we've drafted, who we've moved, who we didn't draft, who we kept, who we didn't re-sign.
This present move, and probably this is why we are the most frustrated with the Philadelphia 76ers, is because unfortunately this was the best move out there. This was all we could do. We had to get Ben Simmons wanted out. Most of Philly wanted Ben Simmons out. So here was a move that needed to be made.
So in the midst of all this Harden insanity, Ben Simmons comes out and says if he were ever traded again, he'd only want to go back to Philly. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
Let me put this out here, because I feel like people need to understand. I believed in the process. I did. To a certain extent, I still believe in the process. They done found many ways to screw this up. As far as Ben Simmons goes, I'm good. No, thank you. I'm cool. Ship has sailed. Train has left.
You're done with him.
In the words of Charlemagne the God, you can't reheat cold fries. That's what that is. Ben Simmons is cold fries.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good
one. It is what it is. Can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. Can't, whatever. That ship is sailed.
So Harden, he insists he wants out. He's called Morey a liar. You're looking around for trade options. Brooklyn says, hey, we got Ben Simmons for you. And you're not hearing anything you like from anywhere else. That's just completely off the table for you?
I am not, at this point in time, I'm like, whatever, dude.
Okay.
Whatever.
And I'm glad we went through all these hypotheticals, because now I'm going to take you back to the end of the Sixers season when we had Adio and Javon on for our last family meeting of this last year's season. You remember what I said then?
What'd you say? Refresh all our memories.
I said it was time to blow it up.
Yes.
And this was before Harden opted in and decided to request a trade.
I do remember that.
Blow it up. It has nothing to do with thinking Embiid is not a player you can win with. You can win with Embiid.
Yes.
You can't win with building your offense around Embiid, but you can win with Embiid. The Sixers have made too many mistakes along the way. There have been too many missteps. And now with Harden wanting out, in my opinion, it's better to cut bait now, count your losses, and start the rebuild sooner than later while you still have one of the most valuable assets in the league.
See, and I think, and if we go back to that conversation, I feel like that's kind of where we differ. I am not against blowing it up. I am completely with you on the whole blow it up thing.
Okay.
But my thought is, if you blow this up, blow it all up.
Exactly.
Meaning,
I agree.
No, I'm saying get rid of everybody.
I agree.
Nobody stays.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, okay. Good.
That's why.
Okay.
When I say while you still have one of the most, let me be clarify that. When I say while you still have one of the most valuable assets in the league, I mean in Embiid. I mean blow it up and trade him now while his value is still at its highest. Rather than 2-3 years from now when he says I want out and he's 30, he's in his 30s, is that big guy, and his value, while still likely high, won't be as high.
Understood. Okay.
So we're on the same page.
Because I'm like, because my whole thing is, and what I talked about, my previous point was I believed in the process. So I believe that if you're going to blow it up, you go through the plan that you had before and just do it right this time. Meaning get rid of everybody. No signing mid players to max deals.
But see, here's the beauty of it. If you do it at the point where you are right now, the situation is Tobias' contract expires next year. Harden's money comes off the books next year. It's a 1-year opt-in. And if you can find someone who's willing to take on money for Embiid, you can clear up a lot of space, have valuable draft picks, and money to sign high-quality players all at the same time. Going into next offseason, you'll be in position to do whatever you want, draft picks and free agency money. It doesn't have to be as long a process as it was the last time.
Okay.
Because last time you were stuck with bad contracts that you had to get off the books before you could start rebuilding. This time you're right now at that point where all that money's off the books. So this is the time to do it.
Yeah. Like I said, if you're going to blow it up, all I am saying is, if you're going to do it. You know, don't half step, don't play around with it. Don't tiptoe around it. If you are going to blow it up, blow it up.
Move Tobias for whatever the best you can get for Tobias is.
Get rid of everybody. Nobody stays. Embiid goes. Tobias goes. Tyrese Maxey goes.
And what you're looking for goes. And you're not looking for players in these trades. You're looking for draft picks.
So so at this point in time, and it's like, because all this is putting new lipstick on the same pig.
Right.
Because unfortunately, and this is kind of what the Sixers are. And this is why I use that analogy. Because even if somehow they figure out a way to piece this together and go back into this season with the same team, I could see this team coming back for winning 45 to 50 games.
And losing in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's just it. Like we saw the end of last season coming a mile away.
I mean, truth be told, if you go back to the show we did at the start of last year, we had Kelvin Green on, former basketball player, and the conclusion we came to in that conversation was, yeah, the Sixers may have made moves to make them slightly better than they had been previously, but both of us predicted another second round exit based on the moves everybody else had made in the Eastern Conference as well.
I think on the flip side, well, not even on the flip side, but to play devil's advocate to to an
All
extent.
right.
It's
I'm
like
listening.
the Sixers could say, hey, we won 54 games last season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you and I, what I'm
All right.
saying is, but what you and I know
Mm-hmm.
what that what that truly meant. Like, our expectations were our expectations. Whereas you could say, I could see them going into the regular season, winning a whole bunch of regular season games, finishing towards the top of the conference standings,
Mm-hmm.
and still losing in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it. That's just the rub.
Still losing in the second
Still
round.
losing in the second round. Where it's like, okay, hey, we made such and such adjustments. Like, honestly, in your lifetime, can you remember the last time the Sixers won 54 games? I don't even think the 01 Sixers won 54 games.
Yeah, it may have been close. They were
May have been close. I don't have it in front of me, but what I'm saying is, you would not have said last year's team was better than that 01 team.
Mm-mm.
You didn't have the same confidence you had in last year's team in that 01 team.
Well, last year's team, I knew they were a second round exit team.
Yeah. Like,
the 01 team, I don't want to necessarily say it was a better team as much as it was a weaker East.
Okay. But you saw that
you
team.
know what I
Did you
mean?
see that 01 team as a team good enough to go to the finals? Whether it be because the East was weaker or whatever. Could you see that 01?
At the beginning of that season, no. By
Mhm.
halfway through the season, yes.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Before or after the Mutombo trade?
Before the Mutombo trade, then the Ratliff injury happened. They had to get another big. You start to have questions.
Mhm.
Then they bring Mutombo in, and you're like, okay, this team can make a run to the finals.
Okay.
At no point did I ever think they could beat the Lakers.
Okay. No, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, I understand that, but
I
what
did
I'm
think
saying is
they could make a run eventually. Not at
Mhm.
the beginning of the year. I
Mhm.
did not come into that season with those expectations.
Fair enough.
But as you saw how that team was gelling and how they were dealing with the rest of the East, expectations went up.
But at no point in time last season did you feel like your expectations was this team could get out the second round.
No.
That's my point.
No.
That's my point. And here's a team that won 54 games.
Mm-hmm.
And at no point in time did anybody, did many fans in this city see them as any better than the team was the last three teams that lost in the second round.
So here's the thing about them winning 54 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
You got Boston and Milwaukee at the top of the East.
Mm-hmm.
And Giannis suffered an injury down later in the year that hampered him in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Boston, probably the most talented team at that point, but they're missing something.
Boston is missing something?
They're missing something. We're not here to talk Celtics basketball, so I'm not getting into what they're missing. But that team is missing something that's holding them back from getting to the next level. But Miami, they struggled during the regular season. So once you got beyond Boston and Milwaukee, who in the Eastern Conference really had the talent to beat Philly?
Last season?
Last season.
I thought, given we talked about it on
excluding
the show.
Boston and Milwaukee.
Oh. Maybe Miami, but
who struggled during the regular season. They weren't a good regular season team last year.
No, but I think they were almost opposite of they were like opposite of the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
Where they'll struggle and not win a lot of regular season games.
When the playoff
comes, they know how to play above their level. Whereas the 76ers proved that despite winning a whole bunch of games, they are who we thought they were.
They're no-shows in the big moments.
Yeah. Big moment being Game 6, being up in a fourth quarter with 4 minutes left.
Or a Game 7, win or go home.
Not showing up at all.
not showing up at all.
Not showing up at all.
Right. There are no shows in the big moments. Whereas Jimmy Butler and the Heat, they what under talented, whatever you want to call them, they raise their level to the moment. They rise to the occasion.
You really chose a crappy. We haven't had a show in months, and you choose the season premiere to pick something silly.
So the Sixers, yeah.
Even
if they were to ride out the season with the current roster, keep Tobias, talk Harden into staying, and you go into next season with Harden and Tobias off the books, and you've got money to sign 2 max players or close to it. Who's out there that makes this team a championship contender with Embiid? Like at one point you thought, okay, maybe Jaylen Brown's available next summer. Nope, he just signed He just signed the super max to stay in Boston. Because that's the thing. The guys who are going into their primes, coming off their rookie deal, about to go into that second deal where you're about to hit your prime. Nobody can pay you what like the team that drafted you. So and it's got to be a terrible situation for those guys to walk away after their rookie deal. It just doesn't happen. So we're looking at getting more guys 32, 33 plus past their prime and trying to slap something together and hope it works.
Lipstick on the pig, man.
Is that what we're doing again rather than actually trying to build a core?
Lipstick on the pig. Because look, it's not even like it I mean, what'd you do on draft night?
We ain't had no picks.
Exactly. So it's not even like we got a young, somebody young coming in that you could hope could.
We
got nothing.
So my point is, it's not that the Sixers don't have talent. It's just that from where they are, the best use of talent would be rebuilding, in my opinion.
Yeah. Right.
You can right now probably fleece somebody for Maxey who thinks they could turn him into a superstar, not realizing he's not a playmaker.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to want to pay him max money to put the ball in his hands and think he's that star playmaker. He's Lou Williams. Lou Williams is a very good basketball player. He's not a star point guard.
No.
And he's too small to be your starting 2 because he can't defend the position.
Real quick, before we shift gears, because Lou Will just retired. He's a Hall of Famer. One of the greatest 6 men to ever play the game.
He is one of the greatest. He is one of the greatest 6 men
to play the game. But it's the 6th man.
I'll say this. Based on everyone that is in the Basketball Hall of Fame, it's hard to say that.
Yeah, Lou, and look, we both know that basketball.
Everybody in.
Yeah, basketball is different from baseball and in the NFL. Whereas pretty much, if you thought they were good, they're in.
Yeah, Basketball Hall of Fame is more like the Hall of Very Good.
Yeah. Whereas I've bemoaned baseball and football sometimes, whereas it's like I don't understand necessarily the criteria of who gets in and who doesn't. Whereas basketball is on the complete opposite of the scale, where it's like.
Now, to be fair, basketball has 12-man rosters. Baseball is double the size. And football is
even bigger than that.
Is more than 4 times the size of roster. So 450 NBA jobs right now. And the league is bigger than it was for most of its history.
Yeah.
So even though it does seem like the percentages are higher, the guys that are getting in are great basketball players. Because to even make it to the league, to be one of 450 guys in the world who gets a job, you got to be great.
Yeah.
Like great.
Well, look, I'm not trying to say like I deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but
So I just want to be clear that when we say everybody gets in basketball, like we're talking about the best of the best still.
The very best of the best.
It's just a higher percentage of the guys in NBA tend to get in compared to the other majors. But the other majors have bigger rosters, so they should have smaller percentages getting it.
Real quick, Phillies.
That's where I wanted to go next. Talking about the major sports.
Let's
might as well talk some red and white pinstripes real quick.
Well, there you go. You know, we're in the middle of September. I'm thinking this is a wild card team.
Oh, definitely.
And there's this thing about the Phillies where during at least 2 playoff runs, the team they sent to the playoffs wasn't as good on paper as the Atlanta Braves. But yet they beat the Atlanta Braves.
Well, right now, the Phillies are 79-67, 12 games over 500. You know, it's a good year.
Good year. I think, once again.
The Atlanta Braves are 96-50.
96-50.
That's already a great year.
Already clinched the NL East.
The
East
Phillies,
is done. They clinched
the Phillies have the top wild card
Park.
spot. The Phillies have the top wild card spot in the same division as the Braves. They're 17 games back. Not 7, 17. And that being said, the Phillies actually have the 4th best record in the National League. They are 3 games behind Milwaukee, 7.5 games behind. I'm sorry, 3 games behind the Milwaukee, 9.5 games behind the Dodgers. Those are the other top 4 teams in the National League. The Atlanta Braves are running away with this thing.
Oh yeah, Phillies had a monster June. Monster June. And what was crazy about that monster June was they still lost. They lost ground on the Braves. Imagine playing your heart out. I can't even. I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, let's see. I don't even want to. I don't even want to get into counting like what they did, but they lost ground on the Atlanta Braves. Braves has just been a monster all year long. However, that translating into post, Braves still the same old Braves.
I don't know that they are.
Well,
I don't. And that's the thing. This year's Braves team, I don't know that they are the same old Braves. This team, it feels a little different. I still think the Phillies can beat them.
But it doesn't beat them in a 7-game series.
I could see it happening.
Okay.
It would require a good performance from Aaron Nola, who you never know what you're going to get out of him. He could show up one day and you watch him pitch and you be like, this guy could win a Cy Young. Or you show up, watch him pitch one day and you're wondering how he's in the majors as a starter.
And it still begs the question: do you give Aaron Nola that boatload of money at the end of the season?
No, and I don't really think that's really much of a question anymore after the season he's had. I mean, if he's willing to sign a 3-year deal at $20 million a year, yeah, you can throw that at him. But you're not giving him the big money.
You're not backing up the truck for Aaron Nola. Right
you're not even offering him as much as you were offering him at the prior to this season, where I want to say it was like 5 years, $22 million a year or something they were offering him. But I don't think that number went down at this point.
Now, he's definitely hurt himself. He's definitely hurt himself, but it's like you're sitting here, you're looking at this pitching. I'm looking at the starting rotation, and I'm not sure. I think really, Wheeler is probably your best bet. Wheeler, of course, is your number one. Not sure about Nola. Lorenzen came in, pitched lights out in the first game, pitched a whole no hitter in his second game, and now it's starting to look like that no hitter was his peak. Trailed off, still got another win the other day, but still, at this point now,
Those
I'm not
first two
sure about
games,
Lorenzen. Yeah,
the first two games don't seem to be the norm.
Yeah,
I'll say it that way.
Yeah, definitely. But I think there's one thing for certain. I feel like the Phillies have proven once you get in, all bets are off. They proved that last season.
Mm-hmm.
All you need to do is get yourself a spot at the table and get hot.
The thing about the Phillies is they have the bats that when they're hitting, they can score with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
The pitching staff, as inconsistent as they might be, when they're pitching well, they can keep anyone to 3 runs or less.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a combination that can win you series. Because Wheeler we talked about, Nola we talked about, Ranger Suarez, and even Taijuan Walker can keep you to 3-4 runs or less when he's going well. So all these guys give you opportunities to win with an offense that can score 4 to 5 runs on any pitcher when they're going well. And that's the thing about the Phillies. Because of that, they're able to beat anyone.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that worries you is, unlike the Braves who go out and do it day in and day out, the Phillies will do it for 5 games, and then they'll not do it for 5 games.
Phillies got a weekend series with St. Louis. They should be able to handle their business there.
Mm-hmm.
They go on they're on the road in St. Louis, on the road in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a tough one.
Come home for 4 games against the Mets.
The Mets, yep.
4 games against the Mets, followed by 3 games against the Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end the season
3 against the Nationals.
3 against the Mets.
3 against the Mets.
Yep, They go Cardinals.
The Nationals aren't in there?
Nah, they're done with the Nationals.
They're done with the Nationals? Okay.
Done with the Nationals.
It's 2 against the Mets. All right.
Yep. No, 3 against the Mets. 3-game series against the Mets.
No, 2 series against the Mets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Home against the Mets. They got 4 home against the Mets and 3 on the road against the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
With Pittsburgh in between.
Okay.
But with the exception of Atlanta, there shouldn't be a reason why the Phillies don't win all of those series.
With the Mets and Pirates, the Phillies should be favored to win all 10 of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mets sold at the deadline. The Pirates they had the Pirates. Yeah. So those should all be winnable games. Cardinals, you should be able to handle your business this weekend.
And maybe you could catch Atlanta slipping. They got the division.
They don't have another meaningful game till October 7th.
Yeah. Just maybe you might be able to catch them slipping.
Maybe.
They got, 96 games, clearly the best team in the NL.
Mm-hmm.
Home field, they got home field on lock. That just is what it, that just ain't nobody catching.
They're 96 and 50, so they got 16 games left with a 7.5 game lead over the next second place team in the NL.
Yep.
It should be their top seed should be theirs.
Yeah.
Excuse me, let's say that right. The top seed should be theirs fairly simply.
They're going to win 100 games.
Mm-hmm.
They're the best team in the league. Maybe, just maybe, Phillies can catch them slipping in that series. Maybe, just maybe.
That's the thing. I don't know that it necessarily has to be them slipping. If you look like this series that just ended with the Braves, the Phillies won 1 game. 2 of those
games
had
a chance to win 2 of them. Yeah,
and 2 of those games went to extras.
Mm-hmm.
So you're one defensive play, one swing of the bat, one extra strikeout away from winning that series 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, and that's what I mean when I say as good as the Braves are and as consistent as they are, the Phillies can still beat anyone. They're right there. They're right there with them as far as talent and explosiveness and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
The Braves just seem to find a way to do it every day.
Yeah.
But to this Phillies team's credit, they seem to do it when it's winning time.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And
When the race gets close, or they seem like they need a win or something, or late in a game, they've got that "we're not going away" thing to them.
what did Bryce Harper said it last year? We're not losing. We ain't losing. And he's been clutch down the stretch this season.
Trey Turner.
Trey Turner.
Let's talk about Trey for a second.
That man's changed the whole culture of how we treat players who are dookie in this city.
I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that, because he didn't change the culture. He did not.
Who did?
He did not.
Okay.
And because if you remember, Ben Simmons got cheered when he had to go to the free throw line during his struggle.
Yeah, I remember.
The fans gave up on Ben Simmons when Ben Simmons decided he wanted to stop playing basketball.
Yeah.
But the person I wanted to go to is my real memory of this, and this the rally cry for me when everybody says we should love on our athletes and this, that, and the other. They say, well, Trey Turner, we fixed it. No. Remember Alec Bohm. That's my line. Remember Alec Bohm.
Yes.
I hate this blank place. And caught on camera, and he owns it. And he comes back the next night and he got an ovation. Look at the course of Bohm's career since then.
Yes.
He's been one of the Phillies' best hitters, one of the most consistent hitters all year long. He's no longer somebody you look at in the field and say he stinks on defense. He's a liability. He's a hole. He might not be winning a Gold Glove, but he's a solid defensive player now. He's on his way to almost being able to use the word star player with this guy.
Yeah.
With the consistency he hits with and his improved defensive ability. Yeah, you're almost saying he's one of the Philly star players at this point. And it went from I hate this place to he owned it and we loved him for owning it. And we
I think honestly
this isn't new for Philly is my point. My thing
it's not. I think
we just want our guys to play hard and not quit.
Yeah, we want our guys to play hard, and I think because Trey Turner was that high profile, high price free agent acquisition, whereas Bohm was a young guy that came up within the system. So there was not. If you ask Mr. Baseball, somebody who loves baseball, your baseball fan, who Trey Turner is, they're going to know who Trey Turner is. They might not necessarily know who Alec Bohm is. However, like to your point, yes, that's kind of where I think Alec Bohm is a classic example of players that are beloved who've been beloved in this city, who haven't always played to the best of their ability. Alec Bohm has proved, hey, you know what? He screwed up and he owned it. To your point, yes, that's what he did. He owned it.
And that's my thing. Like Trey Turner owned it as well. He was clear, like, yeah, I'm not playing great. I'm in here working every day, and he was extra hours before, after, and that's what we want from our athletes. We can live with you not playing your greatest all the time. We can't live with you not giving your best effort all the time.
Yeah, and I feel like also not understanding the moment. Like the bottom line is, if you're not playing, fans are going to be frustrated with you. And it's
And
not
earlier in the
necessarily.
year, and that's what I mean. I say Trey Turner saying the right things. Didn't mean to cut you off real quick,
Mhm.
but like earlier in the year, like Trey Turner got booed, and
Yeah,
he said, I get it. I'm not playing well.
exactly. And it's like, and that's just it. It's like it's all in how you react. It's all in how you take it. If you understand, because it's not personal. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. As much as people want to vilify the city of Philadelphia for booing players, it's never personal. If you struggle, people will be frustrated. If you are not playing to your expected ability, or unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, your paycheck, you are going to get booed. People are going to be frustrated with you. If you take it personally and lash out at the fans, it will be worse. If you own it, you keep on working at it, and then you get better, you will be cheered. You will be embraced.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably more than before. Whereas, like, you look at where Bohm is, Bohm was a middling young player who was
Mm-hmm.
screwing up. He owned it, and now he's on the crest of, on
Being one of the Philly stars.
being a star. Trey
Yeah.
Turner as well. You know, he went from, you know, if you want to call it, for lack of a better term, a charity ovation to a real ovation. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at the ovation he got before, when he was struggling, to once when he started hitting, and the
And
ovation he's
the
getting
cheers he's
then.
getting now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Now
those fans down at Citizen Bank are juiced every time he comes up now.
exactly. And that's all you need. And the thing was, and I had said it this season, because people were really down on Turner. And I'm sitting here like, I refuse to get down on him. Yes, he's stinking up the joint. Trey Turner has been dookie this year. But the thing was, we were saying the same thing about Castellanos last year.
Last year. Mm-hmm.
And what did he do? He
He's had
turned it around.
mm-hmm.
And he turned it around at the right time.
He made a
So to
couple
me,
big plays for us going down the stretch in the playoffs, and then come back this season. He's like, oh, these fans do have my back. I just got to go play.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
this
Now
year he
he's
came back
good.
way more comfortable.
So to me, it's like, all right, the bottom line is we didn't sign this man to a boatload of money for a boatload of years. Be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever they go out and get next, next winter, if they come in and they struggle out, at the beginning, be patient. Maybe give them a standing ovation to start the season. I don't know about that, but
Right.
but nonetheless, patience is a virtue. We'll be all right. Let them get to the playoffs. Let's see if once again these bats can all come around at the same time, and we'll see how far it goes. Let's see how this pitching shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
There are some question marks, but we'll see.
So, um, you think we're about all caught up on Eagles and Sixers? I mean, in Phillies and Sixers now?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So
Are you saying it's now time for the main course?
it's time. I mean, what else we got to talk about? You want to talk Flyers? We could talk Flyers.
No,
No,
that's
let's be quick. Let's talk Flyers. They stink.
yeah.
All
Flyers
right,
are dookie.
I'm done. What else you got?
Flyers straight dookie with corn in it. And there's no reason to even talk about them. I can't. All right, come on, man. Look.
Honestly, though, real quick, I will say this:
Uh-huh.
the Flyers do actually seem to have a plan this time for their rebuild, as opposed to previous years, where it's just like, what are you doing? You're bad, and you keep signing mid-level dudes who would keep you right where you are. That seemed directionless before. Now they actually seem like they have a plan. So we'll see how it works out. Eagles.
Okay. Eagles are 2-0 this season.
How do you feel about that 2-0?
Eagles look like the Eagles look like a team who lost two key coordinators who have had some injuries on defense, whose star players didn't play a lick of preseason football.
No, it's funny you say that because you say they look like a team that lost two key coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
To me, they look like a team that lost one coordinator. What Sean Desai is doing on defense in many ways feels eerily similar to Gannon to me.
You're talking about soft coverage?
Mm-hmm. Soft coverage, and you don't see Desai sends a lot of blitzers either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically to get there with your front with 4-man rush,
mm-hmm.
and you're playing back on the line off the line more often than not with the soft coverage. Those were hallmarks of what Gannon did.
Yep.
And so from that extent, Desai when he came in talked about being more aggressive, but
you've yet to see that aggressiveness. Yeah.
So far, I'm yet to see that. Now the offense, yeah, we definitely lost the offensive coordinator. It's
go ahead.
Just real quick. It's still Sirianni's playbook and play design and all that, but it feels like a new play caller, and we can get more into that in a second. Go ahead. What were we about to say?
Our good friend Javon Alford from Total Sports Live. We like to text each other during the games. Like to keep an open line of communication during the games. And I remember watching the Thursday night game against Minnesota, and I'm sitting there saying this offense just seems blah.
The word I used was clunky.
Clunky. You use clunky. I use blah. Like there's no sizzle to the steak. They just look like they're out there going through the motions.
See, now here, I don't feel like they're going through the motions. Here's what I see. You remember, let's think back to Sirianni's first year here. Jalen Hurts' first year as the starter.
Okay.
Do you remember what that offense looked like when Sirianni was playing calling the plays?
Kind of vanilla.
They were trying to put too much in Hurts' hands.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing pass first or Hurts run, and it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And then you remember what they did when they started winning games?
Started running the ball.
They started running the ball. This offense, as great as Jalen Hurts was last year even, works off the run. All those run options where people see Hurts making the highlight run, that works because the defense got sucked in on the fake handoff to the running back. That they get sucked in on that fake handoff because the actual handoffs to the running backs have been effective. So if you're not actually running well with your backs, you can't go to the rest of the stuff in that offense. You got to go out there, smack a D-line in the mouth, hit some linebackers in the mouth, and run for 6 yards a pop, make them bring their defense up, and now those play actions and read options and stuff are there because they're overreacting to the run action. That's what this offense is built on. Runs and run action.
And you need to feed that O-line. That O-line needs to start the game eating. Just getting behind them and just pushing downfield. You look at that game on Thursday. And when did the tide change? When did you start to feel the shift? When they started giving the
second quarter, when they started running the ball.
When they started running the ball
with their backs. That's what I mean. Like first quarter, they're trying to run that run action stuff, the RPOs and things with Hurts, but they haven't established the run with the running backs. So when he fakes the handoff to the running back, the edge rusher is still sitting there waiting for Hurts to pull it out, and because they haven't established that they can be dominant with the run yet. Gainwell in week 1 was okay. but
Mm-hmm.
there was nothing that flashed that said special.
Mm-hmm.
So
Swift
there's
looked
not.
special
So,
on Thursday.
so what they showed in week 1 and through the first quarter of week 2 was nothing that's going to make a defense overcommit to try to stopping your run game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made this Eagles offense so dangerous, was that defenses had to overcommit to the run game with the running backs. Not just Miles Sanders was 1,000-yard rusher last year.
Yeah.
And that's with fewer carries, fewer touches in some games than many of us would have liked. But he still was 1,000-yard rusher. This offense goes as the running game goes.
And you saw that on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that on Thursday. The tide changed when they started pounding that ball with Swift. And we were wondering after week 1, where was Swift? Why did we not see so much of Swift? Why, and we're still asking that question about Penny, although in the few times that I saw Penny, I was a little worried.
Penny is not the explosive back that Swift is. Penny's the bigger bruiser back that can consistently keep you moving forward. So there are times and situations for Penny. For me, Penny and Swift are almost an ideal complement of backs because they do very different things and they can both be very effective at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with the Eagles where you won't see Penny shine as much as he could is that they like to use their quarterback in short yardage running situations. And those are situations where Penny would excel as well, but a lot of times they're just going to put the ball in Hurts's hands for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
what do you think? What do you think? All these?
I like the combination of Penny and Swift rather than Gainwell. Because for some reason, this coaching staff likes Gainwell a lot. Like they really like this kid Gainwell a lot, and I think Gainwell's okay. But I'm not as high on him as this coaching staff seems to be.
What do you think of all these people criticizing the tush push?
Nothing. I don't think about them at all.
Why?
Play's legal, right?
Yeah, play is legal.
Refs never thrown a flag on the Eagles for running that play.
But what do you think about people who say it should be made illegal?
It's still legal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Refs have never thrown a flag on the Eagles for running that play, right?
Right.
And it
works.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with instead of saying, hey, we need to outlaw this play, telling your defensive line, get in the gym. Stop getting pushed around by a quarterback.
Here's how I feel about that. I want to say it was the late 60s, early 70s. Dunking was outlawed in college basketball.
Yep, I remember. Well, I don't remember, though. I know the story.
Dunking was outlawed in college basketball because of one person was too big and too strong for anyone to stop. Lou Alcindor at the time, who became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Nobody could do anything with it, so they outlawed dunking. Pros never outlawed dunking. You want to stop them from dunking, play defense. If the college level said, oh, well, we don't want this play, fine, whatever. The kids, whatever. You want to make it fair, whatever. This is the pros. You want to make something fair in the pros, get better, and then you can compete. If they're better than you, that's your fault. That's not about fair. Fair is when this team has the same salary cap as that team.
Yeah. I agree. It just sounds like a bunch of whining. Which has been pretty much par for the course this whole offseason. We will just find stuff to whine about. It's just just whining. Just fan bases whining. 49ers fans whining. Cowboys fans whining. People who hate the tush push whining.
49ers fans, oh man, those dudes. And they even got, like, it must be something in their contracts, because they even got Javon Hargrave on the actual, like, when he got out there.
Yeah, as soon as he got out there, first thing Hargrave started doing is whining.
Start talking about, yeah, you know, it might have been different if they had a quarterback. And you know what? Here's my thing. Everybody talking about it might have been different if they had a quarterback. They started the game with a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to their quarterback?
Quarterback got hurt.
So they started the game with 2 active quarterbacks, and they finished the game with no healthy quarterbacks. That means you're not protecting your quarterbacks.
But your coach is an offensive genius.
You want a quarterback, protect them.
But their coach is an offensive genius. His scheme will protect the quarterback.
His scheme had a third-string tight end blocking a guy with 18 sacks. That's his scheme. And then everybody loving on Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. What do you think Tom Brady does when he sees that play in there? He's like, you're blocking Hassan Reddick with who? Mm-hmm. You don't think Tom Brady checks or shifts the protection? You don't think Aaron Rodgers checks or shifts the protection?
Mm-hmm.
But you're in love with Brock Purdy. He didn't check or shift the protection. He took the hits. He was under siege the whole game.
Yep.
So
and you saw what happened to him.
So your scheme wasn't that great. Your quarterback wasn't that great. And the combination of both of them not being that great got 2 quarterbacks hurt.
Do you know a lot of 49ers fans? You have 49ers fans as friends?
No.
I got one 49ers friend. He's been a 49ers fan like pretty much as long as I've known him. And I had to tell him. I'm like, dude, what happened to you? When we were kids, you used to talk to me about the 49ers winning championships. You were talking about Joe Montana and Roger Craig and Ronnie Lott and Steve Young, Jerry Rice. That's what you used to talk to me about.
Mm-hmm.
This guy now is talking to me about how their week 1 win was better than our week 1 win. And I'm just like, dude, what happened? You should be ashamed of yourself. If Joe Montana was dead, he'd roll over in his grave if he heard how you're talking right now.
Joe Montana's alive, though.
I know. I know. I'm just saying, if he was dead, he'd roll over in his grave. Right now, he's just ashamed. And I'm just like, bruh, what is you're talking? 49ers fans are talking about their week 1 win was better than our week 1 win. And at no point in time do they say, hey, it's week 1.
You know what though? Our week 20 win was better than their week 20 win.
Our week 21 win was better than their week 21 loss.
No, they weren't in week 21.
Oh, it was week 21 the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad.
Oh no, you're right. No, you're right, because it's 18 regular season. You're right.
Yep.
It's 18 weeks in the regular season now. I'm still thinking 17.
Yeah. But nonetheless.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, at this point in time, let me pose this question to you. 2 games in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them anywhere close to perfect. However, is there anything that you have seen so far this season that you feel cannot be fixed with just adjustments and better play?
Linebacker depth can't be fixed with adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
I was pleasantly surprised with how Nick Morrow played last night against the Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Nakobe Dean, I'm still high on, but he's got to get healthy.
I thought Cunningham played a better game his second game than his first.
I was just about to say that as well. Mm-hmm. Cunningham seemed to be playing a better game in week 2 as well. But there's a severe lack of depth at that position.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
And I don't know at this point if there's any adjustments for our punter/punt coverage combination, because that's been shaky since last season. And even up to last night, there was a punt return that was brought back into Eagles territory inside the 30-yard line. Guy just happened to fumble at the end of it.
Yeah.
But they gave up the big return. If he holds on to the ball,
who knows
it could be a very different game in that situation. So that's something that's been an ongoing problem. We know Howie typically doesn't invest a lot in the positions that tend to be special teams players. So like your linebackers, we don't need, there's no depth at linebacker at all. So unless you have to have starters out there if you're to cover plus special teams. And then you lack a lot of depth at safety, got things like that. So that's going to affect your special teams. You have a lot of money invested in your lines, a lot of money invested in your corners and receivers, and now your quarterback as well. So something's got to suffer. And it's some of those depth guys and special teamers. So yeah, I don't know that there's any adjustments for that.
Yeah, but I think those are things that I think the Eagles have the best chance of being able to hide and work around. I think there will be times when it's prevalent, when you are going to see it.
The special teams thing keeps showing up. Like big punt return after big punt return. There was one in the Super Bowl. There was one this week. Like it happens fairly regularly.
It happens, but like you said, with the attention that they have paid to other spots, there's not much that they can do about that other than just hopefully draft or sign the right free agent to fill those holes. And that's something that they're going to have to work around.
But those are positions they don't tend to invest a lot of draft capital in.
No, either. I mean, what I'm saying is, you're undrafted free agents. You got, you're going to have to try and find a diamond in the rough somewhere.
But even in those, there are 3 linebackers on the roster total. You see what I mean? It's not even. This is what I mean when I say they're not investing in those positions. They're not even looking for guys that play those positions.
They don't even have any linebackers. They literally,
right. That's what they're really ignoring those positions. Those depth linebackers are guys who can tackle. Those are guys who will come down the field and hit somebody on special teams. Your third, fourth safety is somebody who comes down and hits somebody on special teams.
Yeah,
those guys aren't on the roster.
No, I understand. All right. Well, look, man. Next Monday. Now they go from having the first game of week 2 to playing the last game of week 3. So their next game is Monday against.
They got the mini bye. They got the mini bye.
They got the mini bye plus 1, so they don't even get 10 days. They don't even have
11 days.
They got 11 days because they come back and play Monday.
Went from Thursday to Monday against Tampa Bay.
I think that I think that's a winnable game. I think that's
Baker Mayfield doesn't scare you.
Who originally drafted Baker Mayfield?
My memory's not great.
Yes, it is.
But I want to say it was the Cleveland Browns.
And what do I always say about them?
They're going to Brown.
It don't matter if he's not on that team anymore.
He's still them. He's still one of them.
He's still one of them. At some point in time, Baker Mayfield's going to Brown. He's going to Brown with the. He's going to Brown with the Bucks.
So you don't see Todd Bowles being able to fix him?
They will be begging Tom Brady to come back by Thanksgiving if they're not on the phone with him already.
No, I actually think Tom's done this time.
No, I agree. Yeah, Tom's finished. Tom's ready. He's just waiting on King right now. He's like, look,
Pretty much.
that man done let football ruin his marriage. He's like, look, man, it's all I can do now. Yeah, I'm good. Ride off into the sunset. Let me just ride off into the sunset. Let me try and let me just look at all my rings.
All 7 of them.
All 7 of them, exactly.
That's a lot of rings.
It's all 7 of them. All right, man. Look, season premieres in the books, bro.
It's been a fun hour.
It has been, man. We got to do this again.
That's why I wanted to start with the Sixers. So we start on the down note, and then we can pick back up. You get the Phillies who are rolling. You got the
Phillies are rolling. The Eagles 2-0.
Yeah, I just wanted to get the down stuff out the way early. That's all.
All right. Well, look.
See, you feel much better now.
I do. I don't know if I could. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I could talk about the Sixers next show. I don't know if I have it in me. If there's news, if there's Sixers news, if there's a Sixers story to talk about,
we can talk
about the Sixers.
We don't have to talk about the Sixers again unless there's news until training camp opens.
Good. Oh, okay. That's fine. I understand. Like we will talk Sixers
when camp opens, unless there's news.
Yeah.
We just, we had a summer break. We had to recap real quick. We had missed some things.
Yeah. I'm Sixers. Don't talk to me about the Sixers. Anyway, you let us know what you think of this podcast. Hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, or X/Twitter.
I was about to say Twitter still.
Whatever. If you go to
this X thing, like if you go to twitter.com,
it'll still come up. Yeah,
exactly.
But whatever. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. But we're at Jonesy and Brown. We're at BITW Sports. Remember, you can download this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Just go to BITWsports.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the world famous Jonesy and Brown podcast. That over there. Oh, sorry. Over there. Oh, no. Yeah,
there
that
you
right
go.
That right there is Mike Jones.
That's John Brown.
You guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
On this podcast, to hear this and more, go to soundcloud.com/BITW Sports or on iTunes or Apple Podcasts and search Best in the World Sports.